everyone has the right to speech in this country.
That's right.
Thank you. Please sit
We
down.
do. We do.
Thank
But
you.
you destroy your own cause.
Thank you.
And you exercise your white privilege when you stand up and say stuff like that.
Woo! This is a custom here. We don't demonstrate.
Break a few customs.
That's why we have laws that you don't write.
Because they're unjust and illegal.
No, they're not.
Everybody respects and honors the laws.
Public hearings, so this is the public hearings, and then all about industrial facilities and stuff for design management and the law review.
Okay, got it. Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we're going to start tonight with a moment of silence, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll move to roll call. So if you would join me in standing. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we will go to roll call.
Commissioner Repart.
Here.
Commissioner Moody.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Present.
Commissioner Lanier.
Present.
Mayor Bliss.
Here. So good evening, everyone. So if this is your first time coming to a city commission meeting, I'm going to walk through the agenda. We have a couple opportunities for public comment. The first one is on items we're voting on tonight. We have a scheduled public hearing, and then at the end of the meeting, we have public comment for anything that we're not talking about that's not an agenda item. Tonight, we're going to veer a little bit from our formal agenda, and I'd like to start off the meeting actually by turning it over to our city manager. There's been a critical issue raised in our community that we believe is important enough that we address it and give some time to it here at the beginning of the meeting. So, City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to thank you for this opportunity, you and the commissioners, to address the dais as well as the community. We've received several communications, inquiries about the handling of the recent incident involving Mr. Ramos Gomez. And I wanted to give our police chief an opportunity, interim police chief Kittle, an opportunity to come and to address the commission, to publicly speak to what those actions were on behalf of the Grand Rapids Police Department. And I think this is the first time he has had an opportunity to do so since the conclusion of the internal review. So he's here and he's prepared to do that, and if the commission will indulge me, I'll invite him up at this time. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City leaders. I want to address the community's concerns about our police department's handling of the case involving Hilmar Ramos Gomez and the findings of the Internal Affairs investigation into it. Our police department arrested Mr. Ramos Gomez on November 21st after he set a fire and gained access to the heliport at Spectrum Butterworth Hospital. Upon release from jail on local charges, Mr. Ramos Gomez was detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, for possible deportation. ICE had determined that Mr. Ramos Gomez was in the U.S. illegally. This proved to not be true. He was born in the U.S. Public safety, not immigration status, is always our #1 priority. We took the incident on November 21st at Spectrum Butterworth Hospital very seriously. In the interest of public safety, and because there was a risk to federal airspace, we were in contact with federal authorities. The FBI contacted GRPD, and GRPD contacted ICE. Captain Vanderkoy, the captain of our investigations division and our department's liaison to ICE, was off duty the day of the incident. However, like all of our police officers, he took an oath to keep our community safe. Based on his review of the shift summary, Captain Vanderkoy concluded that Mr. Ramos Gomez's actions met the criteria of a potential act of terrorism. This was the same conclusion that a local FBI agent and other members of our police department came to earlier in the day. The contact ICE was consistent with the following factors. Grand Rapids Police Department policy requires employees to report any suspected criminal activity, including those pertinent to Department of Homeland Security, of which ICE is a part. ICE has resources for tracking the travel of citizens and non-citizens to countries associated with terrorist activities. The National Suspicious Activity Reporting Initiative, or SAR, is a post-9/11 joint effort that encourages information sharing between local law enforcement, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security. Since the incident took place the day before a holiday, Captain Vanderkoy was concerned that if Mr. Ramos Gomez was a potential terrorist, he could bond out of jail prior to Monday when additional investigation would take place. That concern played a role in his decision to contact ICE. Captain Vanderkoy did not have communication with anyone at our police department about the incident before reaching out to ICE, due to the fact that it was after normal business hours when he learned of it. Due to this lack of communication, he did not know Mr. Ramos Gomez was in possession of a U.S. passport at the time of his arrest, or the fact that he was a U.S. military veteran. When Captain Vanderkoy returned to work on Monday following the holiday weekend, he mailed a full copy of our police department's incident report to ICE. The emailed report included the fact that Mr. Ramos Gomez had a U.S. passport in his possession at the time of his arrest. We cannot speak to how ICE came to the conclusion that he was not a U.S. citizen. In his email to ICE that Monday, Captain Vanderkoy used unprofessional language. He has been reprimanded for this through our department's disciplinary process. Captain Vanderkoy has asked that I share the following with all of you this evening. It was not my intent to disrespect Mr. Ramos Gomez or offend anyone in any way.
Yes, it was.
My decision to use unprofessional language is something I regret. I am sorry for any hurt this has caused Mr. Ramos Gomez and our community. As police chief, I want to assure the community that this unprofessional language does not represent the culture of our police department. We are committed to providing equitable service to our community. This evening, we are releasing the Internal Affairs report on our handling of the case involving Mr. Ramos Gomez. We are doing this as part of our commitment to transparency. The report is now available on the city's website, grandrapidsmi.gov. You can find it by searching for the police department webpage. Our department's #1 priority is our community safety. We do not enforce immigration laws. Contacting ICE is not a routine part of our investigative process. We do this only when there is a potential risk to the public's safety, specifically when there is a possible act of terrorism. Our police department had 2 previous interactions with Mr. Ramos Gomez, and in both instances did not contact ICE. The November incident met the criteria of a potential act of terrorism, and therefore it was appropriate to contact ICE. We continually strive to ensure our department's policies, practices, and protocols meet or exceed best practices in policing. We are using this case as an opportunity to review our contacts with ICE. We are evaluating our policies and protocols to ensure our procedures for contacting federal authorities are based on maintaining safety for everyone in Grand Rapids. I have asked the ACLU and the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center to share language or resources they want us to consider during this review. We are committed to being a welcoming community where everyone feels safe. I want to reassure the community that safety, not immigration status, is our top priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and I know we're not posted for discussion, but I just wanted the chief to share that because there's been a lot of interest, again, from community and the media. And to remind the public, that was the department's internal review. And there's continuation of an opportunity to review through the Citizens Appeal Board, as well as some other reviews. So I'll stop there and so we can get back to our regular scheduled meeting.
All right. Thank you, City Manager. So we're gonna go back to our agenda. We're gonna work through the agenda, and then we'll, at the end of the meeting, we'll open it up for public comment. So the first opportunity for public comment tonight is if you are here to speak about something that we're actually voting on tonight. So in your agenda, you will find a whole list of items that we have voted on and discussed at our earlier meetings today. So earlier this morning, we had a number of standing committee meetings, and you'll see those agenda items in your packet. I see some of you have the agenda. It's also up here on the wall. So if you are here to speak about something that we're voting on, now's an opportunity to come forward. We have a couple rules here. We ask that you come to the podium, that you share your name, the city that you live in, that you put your name on the clipboard over there, and then you'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. So again, this opportunity is only if you're speaking on something that is on the agenda that we're voting on. For this section, we ask you to explicitly say what item on the agenda you're speaking about. Right. Hi, welcome.
Hi. My name is Amy Carpenter, and because the acting chief just got this platform to explain his side, we at Movimiento Cosecha and GR Rapid Response to ICE would like to know if we can take this public hearing time while it's fresh to speak to the issue of Hilmar Ramos Gomez.
You know, Amy, I really appreciate you coming up and asking that, but I'm going to stick through this. Most of the items are on consent agenda, so we should be able to get to the end quickly, but we really need to affirm the items that we voted on this morning. They're not complete until we vote tonight. So I'd like to get through that, and I appreciate you just giving us, I assume it is not going to take more than 8 to 10 minutes. So please just allow us to stick with this and get through the agenda.
Cops, everyone who's with us, please stand up, move forward, and speak up. Cops and ICE go hand in hand. 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 Cops and ICE go hand in hand.
Okay, so
ICE go hand in hand. Cops and 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 ICE go hand in hand. Cops and
Excuse me, folks.
Cops and ICE go hand in hand. Cops and ICE go hand in hand. Cops and ICE go hand in hand. Cops and ICE go hand in hand.
All right, thank you. Can I speak, please?
Cops and ICE go hand in hand. Cops and ICE go hand in hand.
Can we speak, please?
Cops and ICE go hand in hand. 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 Let us speak. 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 Let us speak.
adjourn.
Let us speak.
Okay.
Let us speak.
So
Let us speak. Let us speak.
I think I'll adjourn for like a 10 minutes.
I'll come back in.
Let us speak. Let us speak. Let us speak. Let us speak. Let us
So why don't we tip?
Let us speak. Let us speak. Let us speak. Let us speak. Let us speak.
But they're doing it to a body that's been sensitive to human rights issues.
Let us speak. Let us speak. Let us speak. Let us speak. Let us speak.
So let us speak.
Democracy demands.
So let us speak.
Okay. So we're gonna recess. We really want to give an opportunity to speak, but we do have agenda items that we want to get through, that we have to affirm tonight. So that is not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying, and
Your actions are showing that.
Let us speak.
You spoke first.
It's important.
You had to go at the beginning, so put it down.
You made the agenda, you can amend it.
And you let him go first.
And that wasn't on your agenda.
Move to amend the agenda.
it's not a strategy, sir. It is not a strategy.
We disagree.
If it's not a strategy.
Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with all of you. You will have an opportunity to speak. You will have an opportunity to speak. We have 3 opportunities for public comment. We want to give you an opportunity to speak. You know what? I am not gonna argue with you from up here. We have a couple options. I can recess.
Let us speak.
I can recess.
Hey, excuse me.
Here's a couple options. I can recess.
Calm down.
I do not want to have people removed. I want to give you a chance to speak, but I'm also going to ask that you respect that we have items that we have to affirm tonight. So, thank you for that feedback. And you know what? In the future, we will consider that. And I do appreciate that. We thought it would be helpful to have an opportunity at the beginning of the meeting. We genuinely want to hear you speak, but we also want you to respect that we have items that we need to get through. Sir, I have a couple options. I don't want to recess. I want to give you an opportunity to speak. And I'm asking you to just work with us and allow us to get through this. We want to hear you. Commissioners, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from February 12th? So moved. All those in favor? Aye. Next, it'll take us to petitions and communications. We have 3 items tonight.
Yeah, the first one is a communication from Renee Williams regarding their resignation from the Economic Development Corporation Brownfield Redevelopment Authority.
That's referred to Committee on Appointments.
We have a communication from Elizabeth Thompson regarding their resignation from the Michigan Street.
That's referred to Committee on Appointments. Mr. Miller, it's closed. I'm
And then-
moving on. Nope, no, sir. We're moving on.
And then we-
Communication received from neighbors of Belknap Lookout. That is received and filed. Next, that will take us reports of city officers.
Comptroller's report for the period of January 31st, 2019 through February 13, 2019, in the amount of $18,010,281.59.
That's received and filed.
And Treasurer's report for the period of January 26, 2018 through February 2019.
That is also received and filed. Next, that will take us to consent agenda. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? It carries. We have 2 ordinances to be adopted tonight. Let's go with the first one.
First one is a consideration of an ordinance rezoning the northerly .62 acres of 546 Lafayette Avenue Northeast to SDPRD, which is Special District Planned Redevelopment District.
All right, Commissioner Jones, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, Mayor, this rezoning is requested to facilitate redevelopment of the site into a mixed-income housing development of 50 units, 70% of which will be affordable.
All right, and that's a roll call vote tonight?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Repart?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes.
The second ordinance is a consideration of an ordinance approving a major amendment to a planned redevelopment district to facilitate development at 1850 Leonard Street Northeast.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, Commissioner, you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, so this is, there was a 2-story big building plan. It's going to now just be a single-story building. There was no opposition for the Planning Commission, and the Neighborhood Association wrote a positive, favorable letter.
Great, thank you. And this is a roll call vote?
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Repart?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier? Yes. Mayor Bliss?
Yes. All right, and that will quickly take us to our public hearings. We only have 1 public hearing tonight, and I'm going to ask that we take both of these together because it's for the exact same project located at 1900 North Ridge Drive Northwest. Commissioners, can I get support to take them both together? Yes.
So moved.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so let's see, Kara Wood is it Kara? Miss Wood here tonight? Who's going to tee this up?
She's probably 901.
Oh, there you go. So Commissioners, this is to consider an industrial development district for Design Manufacturing LLC and also an industrial facilities exemption certificate. So Carrie, you want to tell us about this?
Yep. So this public hearing is being held for both the district and the application related to a 12-year industrial facilities tax exemption for property located at 1900 Northridge Drive, Northwest. This is located in Walkerview or in the city of Walker, subject to a 425 agreement with the city of Grand Rapids. This company is a plastic fabrication and digital printing company that's been in business since 2002. They are currently located in Comstock Park, and their current facilities are restricting their ability to grow. So they have made plans to construct a new 90,000 square foot manufacturing and warehouse facility for their company to grow at this location. There will be both real and personal property investments at this site. So the real property investment of $4.4 million and over $3 million worth of new equipment, all of which will be eligible to be exempt from personal property taxes. So essentially, the tax abatement's covering the real property. This company currently employs 62 individuals with average hourly wages equivalent to $25.51 plus benefits, and the company intends to hire an additional 6 employees over the next 2 years. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have on this request or invite Brad Graham, the president of the company, up to share a little bit more with you.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions? No, we're familiar with this property. All right. Mr. Graham? Hi, welcome.
Good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you this evening. Again, my name is Brad Graham. I'm the president and co-owner of Design Manufacturing. We're very excited about this project. It's a great chance for us to expand our footprint and really remove some barriers to growth that we've had in our current facility with some spaces that are adjoining and allow us to bring everything all under one roof. So the project is underway currently. We're expecting to hopefully move in end of July sometime or August. As Kara mentioned, we're a plastic fabrication digital printing company. We specialize primarily in point-of-purchase retail displays. We serve retailers all over the country, primarily through distributing partners and other fixture companies. So, and with that, any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
All right. Commissioners, any questions? All right. So, Mr. Graham, if you can maybe stand over by Kara, I'll let anyone who is here to speak on this tonight come forward, and if there are unanswered questions, then I'll have you come back up. So if you're here specifically to talk about this industrial facility exemption or the certificate that's being requested, now's an opportunity to come forward. Same rules apply. All right. Seeing none, Mr. Miller, you're coming up. And Mr. Miller, before I start the time, I didn't mean to be disrespectful to you.
Pardon?
I said before I start the time, I didn't mean to be disrespectful to you earlier.
I mean,
So,
you had
no,
19 radicals there.
you don't need to respond. I just wanted to apologize. Go ahead.
Should have been
All
heard
right.
out first.
So, Mr. Miller, speak to the issue at hand, which is this exemption certificate.
Right.
All right?
So, good evening, fellow veterans and citizens of Grand Rapids. This is the House of the People, Watchdog Miller reporting. Welcome to Simon Legree Square, where the ACLU is around. Our black routes, local, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 14 are banned. The 19 was stolen altogether. So on Riverview, I've been very suspicious of it, and the first time, I can't go into all the details of how that particular zone was expanded, but we're down 10 to 12 rapid routes in this city with no bus service, and what on earth are we doing up there and way north of the Muskegon Freeway? So if you put that in, if it's a rectangle, we'll probably need 4 new bus routes up there in Walker. And it's first time I came forth on this, it was 15 years, and I heard 23 years. Is that 50 and 23, 38? Or now today here is 12, down to 12. What's that, and why is so deferential to this individual? Is he a citizen? I mean, even a veteran. I'm a veteran, and what's going to happen if I go to your neighborhood summit on Saturday? Last year I was surrounded by 5 cops. You know, I said, well, go they're goons in blue. Yet, right next to the blue, you denied me the right to speak. We had 400 illegals bottled up on the Blue Bridge, right next to where I was harassed by 5 Grand Rapids cops. We're the ones who are suffering, okay? 29 radicals, maybe 16 illegals. Why are you caving?
Mr. Miller, okay, thank you. Your time's up. Thanks.
Not really, but...
Thank you. All right, anyone else who wishes to speak on this exemption?
My name is LaDonna Norman, and I just want to speak to the exemptions and the credits that you're giving these developers. I haven't been here for a while, so it's from my understanding, 616 Realty has filed bankruptcy, and you're giving these tax credits and you're giving these redemptions out to these big developers, and then us in turn, we lose. And so what's to keep them from not going under, and while you're giving these tax credits out? Because I don't see where it's benefiting the people of Grand Rapids. People continually getting displaced, and then they can file for bankruptcy in a few years. So how are they, how do I want to say it? How do you know that that won't happen when you're giving these exemptions out?
That's a great question. All right, anyone else who wishes to be heard? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that public comment, but I'm going to ask Ms. Wood to come forward and explain how we do follow up and keep track of anything that we approve.
So these incentives are performance-based. They're not tax credits. They're not funds given up front. They're not loans to the companies. Essentially, the company has to make their investment and create the jobs in order to get the benefit. And if you are familiar with these projects, they are reviewed each year by staff and then presented to the Economic Development Project team as well. So we do claw back or revoke any exemptions that are not performing or projects that have not yet taken place. So I can assure you that all of the incentives that we administer are performance-based, and if the work does not occur or the investment doesn't take place, the exemption is not granted.
Great, thank you. All right, Commissioners, I'm going to close this public comment period, and we will refer this to the Committee of the Whole. Thank you both. All right, now is an opportunity for public comment. And as we get started, I do appreciate the feedback about allowing the chief to speak first, and I take that to heart. So thank you all for raising that issue, and thank you for respecting our process and allowing us to get through the agenda. And now we're going to open it up for public comment. And again, the same rules apply. So we ask that you share your name, the city that you live in, and we'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak. We do ask that you put your name over there on a clipboard, and the only reason for that is so that our city clerk can get it accurate in our minutes. And we'll go ahead and get started.
How you doing, everybody? My name is DeAndre Jones. First of all, I wanted to say that I liked what you guys did, but there's everybody that comes to these city commission meetings, just out of respect, there's a format that they do every time, and this is the time to speak. I'm saying that as a respectful citizen that literally went to Care for Violence, if you know what that is. That's literally trying to stop violence in the communities. If you don't know, what I was seeing from reports that the worst community in Grand Rapids is Franklin on the southeast side, and then it's like the northeast properties, if you guys actually know that. So also I went to the Speed of Trust. The Speed of Trust is actually trying to build trust with the police. I know you guys laughed at it. I'm an African American, like I should be laughing at it too, but I'm not laughing. Like, I don't think that what you guys did was respectful. I'm just saying that as a person that understand what you guys did, but I just really feel like what you guys did was like. So I went to the Speed of Trust thing, and it's basically a program that's trying to build trust between the community and the police. you guys, it was a group almost, if it was 19 people there, it was 15 people there, it was 15 police officers. So all 15 of you guys, or 19 of you guys, could have went there with the police officers and sat there, and then you could have went back to your community and been a voice for your community and told more people to go to this program, so then those people can understand what the police actually supposed to do, what they're supposed to implement. And if you were here earlier or looking on Facebook or wherever else, you would have seen the strategic plan, and you would have seen exactly what they were supposed to do and the plan they're supposed to implement. There's a whole different place that you guys could have went, that I have the book right here, that you guys could have went there and you guys could have did that. I take this very serious. Like, I have a scar from the Grand Rapids police on my eye, so don't think I don't feel you, or don't think like but I just honestly being honest with you guys. You guys could have went there individually. All 19 of you guys could have sat there with a police officer, and you guys could have told exactly what's on your heart to him, and you guys could have got to know everybody in the room, because you had to shake hands with everybody. Everybody had to shake hands. Like, I'm saying that as a person who won 10 grand to partner with the city of Grand Rapids to create a program for nonviolence, the Safe Pitch Task Force. Yes, so I understand where you guys are coming from. I definitely just feel like the next time that they have the speed of trust, that you guys should go do that. You guys should go sit there, then you should go back to and advocate and go talk to the community about how to implement the change, be the change that you want to see. But don't come up here as a whole group and just try to I'm not trying to say you guys.
No, talk to us.
Sorry.
They have every right to be.
I understand
angry
that, but
and
it's just that I understand that, but it's just that the whole thing is that I understand. The whole thing is there was a program that everybody could have went individually, and you could have met with a police officer, and the city of Grand Rapids had put that together. And I believe that you guys, all 19 of you guys that were standing up there, should have went there and eventually got what you wanted to say across then, because then you could have partnered with the police officers and you could have told them more about it.
Thank you. I'm glad you attended. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year's. I missed you guys in January. But let's talk about history here. We got ice and things like that. Well, in the history that
I'm sorry, can you start with your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so used to you already knowing it. My name is Von Ruff. I live in Wyoming now. But let's talk about history. In Grand Rapids history, from the history I just looked up, there's literally 4 immigrants as mayors in the past. But we have officers calling ICE on a man that served our country. You serve our city. Your officers serve the city, but you lock up a man that's fought for this country. That flag that everyone in this room knows and represents, that's the most important flag ever. We run the world. We're everywhere. We're based everywhere. If you want to be tackling, we're the gangsterest country in this world. We're just gangsters. You know what I'm saying? This is America. We are a gangster country. I respect these people for what they did. They stopped you from doing your job. We need that more. We need that more. You guys need to get off these podiums, and you guys need to come and interact with the community. You know, I feel like these 4 immigrants, we got one from Germany, one from France, I'm not going to consider Canada, but we're going to say Canada too, and then the Netherlands. I mean, if you're not Dutch, you're not much. I come from Holland, Michigan. I know all about the Dutch, you know. I love it. I feel like we really need to do something about this. This guy fought for our country. For me personally, I never will fight for this country. I don't care if I'm drafted. I'm like Muhammad Ali, put me in prison. So
Let's not clap, please. Let's give him a chance to speak.
Can I get my 4 minutes back? 4 seconds, I mean, please. I mean, these rules are getting bent. Are we gonna fix them anytime? I think I should run for mayor, president. What about, I just run a country. I should be over there with Queen Elizabeth. Sit right next to her. We could just run the whole world. We could put all the money where it needs to be rather than in your pockets, because you're not helping the homeless. Like, it's not happening. People are homeless, housing, developments. Like, every time I come to a meeting here, it's like, we're going to build this, we're going to build that. As much as y'all building Grand Rapids, there shouldn't be no homelessness. This is crazy. Ridiculous. I think that's enough.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is LaDonna Norman, and I am here to talk about a couple of things. Hilmar Ramos Gomez, it's my understanding that this individual suffered from PTSD, and he was having a bout of temporary psychosis, which happens with people with PTSD, which is happening with children and adults that have been displaced due to the gentrification in Grand Rapids. So I'm very aware of what that trauma will do. But I believe that Captain Kurt Vanderkool, it does not suffice that you get up here and you say a statement and it's okay. That's what Grand Rapids is accustomed to doing. Whenever they're in a position, they come up here, they make a statement, and in a few weeks it goes away. I want to say that when you pick a police chief, that you pick somebody who is diverse, somebody who is open enough to and considerate enough to know the needs of the community, because what we have right now, we have police that are putting policies in place that can't tell if Hispanic is a citizen or not, that can't tell a 12-year-old from a 17-year-old. We just need some major changes here, and it starts with us. We should not have to come up here continuously every other Tuesday or when these meetings happen and tell you how to do your job, because as it stands, you owe me $136,362.13 for all the work I've done in the city of Grand Rapids. Let's make some changes now.
Thank you, Ms. Norman. Others who wish to be heard? I'm going to ask you to please, let's make sure people have a chance to be heard.
My name is Elena Gormley. I live in Grand Rapids. I am a member of Congregation Ahavas Israel and an early childhood educator at the United Jewish School. I am commenting to demand that the City of Grand Rapids fire Captain Kurt Vanderkooi, immediately end Grand Rapids Police Department's cooperation with ICE, cease all usage of city resources for ICE, and be a part of the Licenses for All campaign. Captain Vanderkoi's involvement in reporting a Marine veteran with PTSD and a U.S. citizen to ICE, and Captain Vanderkoi's racist comments are completely unacceptable. The entire Grand Rapids Police Department is a Halil Hashem. By tolerating this behavior, refusing to hold Vanderkooi accountable, and continuing to collaborate with an agency that terrorizes children and tears families apart, the entire Grand Rapids Police Department desecrates the name of God. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is the modern-day equivalent of the NKVD, a vile agency that tortured, imprisoned, killed, and disappeared Jewish people in the Soviet Union. If the City of Grand Rapids has any basic moral decency, they will ensure that no resources are spent in collaborating with ICE. The community should not have to come and beg for you all to do the right thing and ensure that Captain Vanderkooi and the GRPD can no longer terrorize the immigrant community in Grand Rapids. Please display the bare minimum amount of human decency.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
How you doing, Commissioners and Mayor Bliss? My name is Tashawn B. Whitfield. My first name is 3 syllables. I'm a young black community activist. I stand for freedom, justice, and equality. I will say this, I know it's not going to happen. They're not going to give us no real justice. We haven't got any for over 400 years under those stars and stripes, black people in particular. I want to say this, when are you guys really going to step up to I can't say this, Brother Joe Jones, you did step out in the community and you helped out cleaning it up, getting it together. Urban League. I actually witnessed that, man. Congratulations. Keep it going. You can do more. The rest of you can do more. I support my black people first. I'm for all the poor peoples, no matter race or creed, that stand for freedom, justice, and equality. And when you don't give us justice, just know this, and I'm telling you the truth, I'm not making this up, I'm always in the community. What you call the young thugs in the community, the young men that you just look down and belittle on, you know what I'm saying? They are rising. We're all rising. I see the change coming because women is rising. When these young youth all unite, which they are, they're going to all come to, because it's going to get so much worse, everybody. I swear I'm not making this up. Y'all going to see a lot going on, bloodshed and everything in these streets all over America. But when they rise, just know that you could have did something about it. You know what I'm saying? You could have put more into. I'm gonna tell you this real quick. The school system's failing for young black youth. Let me tell you, and Latino. Let me tell you why. If you take a picture, right? If I take a picture of everybody up in here, right? You gonna want to see the picture because you want to see yourself, right? Well, I'm gonna tell you this: why the school system's failing. They don't see themselves in the picture, man. So when is y'all gonna really do something about it? Y'all can. I know y'all on the status quo. Y'all gotta go on with the agenda and everything. Y'all can't do too much because it's those behind the scenes behind y'all that's pulling strings. And they're probably listening to me right now. I know who they are. Just know this. Your little brother, know who they are. You know, and it's time right now. We need justice or else, man. I'm telling you. I'm always out here, man. They hate you. They hate you. When the youth hate you, that's big. You can change it, though, because the light of humanity is here for all of us. Whether you accept it or not, I'm talking about the Messiah. You hear me? Real life in person. You just didn't know it was him because you've been looking at everything so spooky.
Thank you.
Tighten up.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Good evening.
Welcome.
I'm Mary Alice Williams. I'm a citizen of the United States. I have a passport which may not be worth the paper it's printed on in this city, but I have it. And I'm here at the speed of distrust. I'm here because my conscience dictates that I stand as an ally with the individuals and families at risk of racial profiling at the hands of our criminal justice system. I'm here to be an ally with families and individuals who contribute as our neighbors every day in this city, regardless of where they've come from. And I'm here to be an ally with those who, like Corporal Ramos Gomez, have borne the wounds of war for all of us. I'm here to ask the commission, the manager, the acting chief, whoever has the power to acknowledge, and the chief has said that we do not enforce immigration laws, to act with consistency about that policy and to instruct our officers about that policy. I am here because Captain Kurt Vanderkoy, a commanding officer, not a rookie cop, a commanding officer, from where I stand is not fit to lead. Not because he used inappropriate language, but because he sat on his Baca lounger and racially profiled a citizen of the United States. He saw a face on his TV screen and he took it upon himself to call ICE. The officers on the scene had already determined that the FBI need not be involved, let alone ICE. But he took it upon himself. I watch enough police procedurals to know you usually check with the dudes on the scene. He did not do that. So, as a result, police officers who had already determined that Lance Corporal Gomez Ramos was a citizen and was a veteran because they had his passport and they had his dog tags, was detained by ICE. This story has garnered headlines all over the world. But it has happened before and it will happen again unless we send a certain message to our offices. I am concerned and actually I'm disgusted that in exonerating Captain Vanderkoy, the department raised the bogus specter of terrorism. Whoever used that language and helped him to spin that language ought to be ashamed and ought to be disciplined. There should be no room for racist profiling in the Grand Rapids Police Department or in its command structure. If we want to count all our residents have to feel like they count. That will not happen till we no longer collude with ICE and follow our own stated policies.
Thank you, Mary Alice.
Hi, my name is Deirdre Cunningham. I'm a resident of the 3rd Ward. I live at Dickinson and Linden, and I work in Grand Rapids. I suffer PTSD, not from serving in the military. In fact, I oppose the military. But I, in 1996, had an episode of mania where I caused a public scene and was sent home from school. It could have been worse. I could have been arrested, but I never would have had ICE called on me due to the color of my skin. And so I'm here to use my privilege, stand here in front of you and ask you and demand, in fact, that you call for the firing immediately of Captain Vanderkoy. Despite numerous assurances over the past 2 years from the GRPD that they're not working with ICE, we now have clear evidence that police like Captain Kurt Vanderkoy are in fact giving ICE what they call leads. The GRPD and the city must show us that they're serious about earning our trust, and they must fire Vanderkoy immediately. I don't normally come to meetings like this. I choose to spend most of my time working with people like Movimiento Cosecha and Rapid Response to ICE. It's very time-consuming work. There's a lot of work to be done because ICE is a constant threat in our city, and we need to stop using our resources and collaborating with this terrible, traumatic entity that is ICE. Kurt Vanderkoy was an off-duty cop who called ICE after seeing a picture of Ramos Gomez on the news story. And GRPD has a documented problem with racial profiling in traffic stops, and here we're seeing the problem again. Though he also had the power to double-check Ramos Gomez's personal belongings for the U.S. passport that was included in them, he chose not to do so. The police records show clearly that another officer on the case had already identified him as having PTSD and that federal involvement was not needed. Vanderkoy purposely chose to dehumanize Gomez based on his race, and he used the derogatory language to do so. After firing Vanderkoy, the GRPD and the Grand Rapids City Commission must resolve to stop all cooperation with ICE and all use of city resources to support ICE's violent work of separating families. To counter the racial profiling that GRPD demonstrates in traffic stops, the City Commission must support a State of Michigan initiative for driver's licenses for all, so that our neighbors who are stopped do not end up detained and deported for not having a license that the state cannot give them.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. All right. Others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
My name's Lindsay Rosa. I'm an area social worker. I've been doing social work in Grand Rapids for the better of 10 years. And I'm also here to ask for the removal of Captain Vanderkoy. While he's recently gained national scrutiny for his racist behavior, and this case has been in the news, many of us know that he's been around for years and damaging the immigrant community in different ways for many years. Are you guys familiar with the process of U visas?
Yes.
Okay, so for those who don't know, U visa is a way when an undocumented immigrant is the victim of a serious crime, not a minor crime. If they cooperate with the investigation and the police department signs something saying that indeed they are cooperating, they can apply for a U visa, and then immigration takes the case from there and decides whether they actually qualify or not. Vanderkoy, apparently GRPD saw fit to put this guy, who clearly has a track record of racism and discrimination against immigrants, in charge of signing these U visas. So I had a client a number of years ago who was the victim of an aggravated assault. He almost died, was permanently disabled. And at my suggestion, I found a lawyer for them, and they tried to start a U visa process. They were cooperating with the police, as I mentioned, and Vanderkoy refused to sign the U visa paper that he needed to sign saying that they were cooperating. Not because he wasn't cooperating. There was no, I took this all the way to the chief of police, and he was definitely cooperating. There was no discussion about that. He just didn't want to sign it. So he was arbitrarily making decisions about whose case can move forward or not. And his logic was that he didn't feel like this person deserved to have papers or to adjust their status in immigration, and he wasn't going to allow it to go forward, which isn't a decision I think he should be able to make. Immigration should make those decisions, and they do, and they look at, this kid didn't have a criminal record, but they would look at all of those factors, but they could not move forward because he wouldn't sign that. And ultimately, as far as I know, he never did. Years went by and he had not. I have another friend who was wrongfully arrested, and when he went to court, he's an undocumented immigrant, when he went to court to plead innocent and ultimately the charges were dropped, Van der Kooi called immigration and he was deported. And that family lost, that wife lost her husband, those children lost their father. He was their main supporter. They're now on welfare while mom is trying to make ends meet. The kids are having emotional trouble. One has been in and out of jail since dad left. And that is the kind of impact that Van der Kooi and those like him have on our community. I could go on.
Ma'am, if you have something in writing, you're welcome to leave it with us.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I get to everyone else who's lined up and give them a chance to speak.
So my very last comment is, though, that there's more consequences to what he and the cooperation between the police and ICE have. And very recently, a guy I know near Wyoming, had a knock on his door. He opened it. A man burst in, stole his cell phone.
Yep.
And he won't call the police because he's undocumented. This just happened.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Hello.
Welcome.
I am Allison Lutz. I live on the west side. I'm actually currently running for First Ward City Commission, but that's not why I'm here. Just to kind of address some of these issues. Safety.
Oh, thank you. Can you speak in the microphone?
Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Lutz.
Allison Lutz. So safety is one of the most quoted concerns when it comes to immigration reform. And between 1990 and 2013, there was a surge in immigration levels, but immigration, if it made it communities unsafe, crime level would have also increased. But crime rates have plummeted and continue to do so. People who risk their life savings and livelihoods to move to another country are logically less likely to jeopardize their chances at success in their new home. And immigrant crime rates are actually lower than those of natural-born citizens, and cities that welcome immigrants have lower crime rates. Additionally, there is evidence to suggest that ICE involvement actually decreases safety for communities. If immigrant communities don't feel comfortable or safe speaking to police, they are less likely to report being victims of crime or come forward as witnesses. This makes it much more difficult for the police to do their job. There's also a cost for communities that are subject to ICE raids. When families are ripped apart, it not only decreases the productivity and safety of those communities. Family separation is violence in and of itself, and enforcing immigration laws is the responsibility of the federal government, and local governments have no legal obligation to assist in this. When the city is doing something it isn't required to, and it makes the community less safe, there's a serious issue that needs to be addressed. We as a city need to openly and publicly pledge not to use city resources to assist ICE following the example of Kalamazoo. This cannot be just rhetoric. It has to be laid out in policy so we as a city can be held accountable to the pledge. People with untreated mental illness are 16 times more likely to be killed by law enforcement. And in 2015, people of color made up 63% of unarmed killed by the police. Police violence is still violence, and everyone deserves to be safe from it. Captain Van der Kooi has made his biases clear and therefore cannot be trusted to keep our community in its entirety safe. The ability to travel is necessary, especially in spread out areas like West Michigan. I don't have a car. I take the bus everywhere because you got to do what you got to do. You got to get to work. Since undocumented individuals don't have access to driver's license, they're forced to either stay within a certain area of their home, limiting their ability to work or go to school, or drive illegally. When someone has to drive to get an education or feed their families, they're put in an incredibly difficult situation where traffic stops can lead to jail and then deportation. And even if they don't drive, it can lead to a request for identification, and it can just be a downward spiral from there. So we should really endorse the driver's licenses for all. And before we go into that, in the interim, we should follow the example of Detroit and Kalamazoo and have a city ID that then people have some sort of legal identification. The last thing I know, I'm running out of time, but there is a large influence of corporate money in politics, and there are companies that have paid for the elections.
Thanks, Ms. Lutz. Yep. Your time's up. Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Others who wish to be heard? Hi.
Hi, my name's Justin Barr. I live on the west side. I have a couple of comments.
The police chief, he talked about safety, but family separation and the trauma that comes with it is not safety. It's the opposite of safety. Police officer Vanderkoy displayed his racial bias and bias against those with mental health. He should be fired, point blank. He shouldn't be in the chief force anymore. Also, I wanted to, real quick, what Allison was going to say was that there's an corporate influence in politics, even locally, and it's important to know that some of the city commissioners have taken money in corporate PACs from businesses that benefit from ICE, including AT&T, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Miller Canfield Law Firm, another law firm that I'm blanking on, and as well as the Grand Rapids Business Chamber of Commerce. All have given money to members of the city commission, and these businesses benefit from ICE. So, important things to know. Bliss, I want to speak to you for a second. I've heard you make comments along the lines of you don't want to do anything because you don't want to inspire a reaction from ICE, a harder reaction by taking steps to make the community safer. As a white person to another white person, it's not our job to tell communities of color what makes them safe. That's paternalistic. It's a white savior mindset. Our job is to listen to communities of color and when they tell us what they need. I think the community in Grand Rapids has thought about what their options are, and it's clear what they're telling us. And it's our job to listen, and it's particularly you and everyone else on the commission's job to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Good evening.
Welcome.
I'm Dr. Jose Flores. I live at 1052 Granville Avenue. I'm a Hispanic American, U.S. citizen, for some of those who question citizenship when they see a person of brown tone. And yes, I understand how democracy works and how an agenda works. I serve on the Grand Rapids School Board of Education, and agendas and the sequence in which things are handled can be changed. But that's only if we want to serve the citizens of Grand Rapids in a better way, in a more responsive way. But let me say to you that tonight I am disgusted. I moved here by God to come and say to you that we have to do better in this city in terms of embracing diversity, in stopping police misconduct, and to ensuring that we are safe in our homes and in our environments. And yes, when we break the law, that we're dealt with in a fair manner, and that we're not racially profiled, and that we're not subject to false accusations. I have personal testimony. Some of you know my past. I was almost killed by a SWAT team member, by bogus information, by a bogus search warrant of my property as I was conducting my business in my store as a shopkeeper. And let me say to you that you have no idea of what impact that can have on an individual. And I say to you today, I do not hate police. My brother was a police officer and retired from the police department. Many of my African American and Hispanic brothers and sisters that were brought onto the force through affirmative action and equal opportunity that I love and respect wore that uniform that you have on. Is it Kitty or Kittle? The acting chief of police. I think that we should be dealing with Mr. Vanderkoy and Mr. Bayless for their failure to treat people without those blinders on that they said this man is an immigrant. And Mr. Washington, if I were you, I would demand that these people be dismissed immediately, at least suspended. You know, I've been suspended before as an administrator, and then investigated. The very least you can do is that. The very least to restore the respect for due process and for proper investigation. And for us to sit here and just allow this, I'm sorry. I'm here, I'm raising my voice. I'm going to continue to advocate until this situation is dealt with and in a just and respectful manner. That man fought for that flag, and let me tell you, many of my family have served in the military, and I was of that Vietnam era, and I showed up. So please respect that uniform. He was a U.S. Marine. He should have been treated better, and he was disabled with PTSD.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Flores. All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is Phil Snyder. I'm a resident of Grand Rapids and organizer with Socialist Alternative. We're here tonight in solidarity with Movimiento Cosecha and the immigrant community. There isn't a lot that I can say that hasn't already been expressed, and I also know from experience that you don't actually care. Time and time again, whether it's weakening unions, cozying up with big developers, or working with ICE to harass, detain, and deport immigrant families, you nod your heads, say some consoling words, and then go right back to what you're doing without a second thought. The truth is, you're more afraid of upsetting the Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce than you are upsetting voters. The truth is, you're completely interchangeable with any other corporate stooge that's capable of echoing the big business agenda of the DeVosses, the Van Andels, Sekias, Myers, etc., and you know it. Planting trees might get you a pass from the corporate press and wealthy liberals, Mayor Bliss, but it's not fooling the most vulnerable and affected members of our community. I want to remind you who you should be afraid of. Not DeVos, not the business community, us. Because we're not going to stand for it anymore. We demand that Grand Rapids be made a sanctuary city and end all cooperation with ICE. We demand the termination of Police Captain Kurt Vanderkooy for racially profiling Hilmar Ramos Gomez. And we demand that action be taken, not just mere words of consolation. Action. Immigrant rights are workers' rights, and we stand united. Solidarity.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Alex Kelly. I'm an ally organizer with Movimiento Cosecha and a member of Grand Rapids Rapid Response to ICE. What I've noticed this meeting is over the past few days is a few inconsistencies in what we've been told in action, and what actions have happened. Firstly, with GRPD's handling of the investigation, according to documents released with ACLU and Merck's FOIA request, and at November 21st, 2018, between 11:42 and 11:55, a GRPD officer texted an FBI agent and said that this was a vet with PTSD issue and not a FBI issue. The FBI is our federal agency that deals with domestic terrorism. So, what that tells me is that the acting chief's comments that this was related to terrorism are bogus. That's not what GRPD told the FBI. And also, the claim in general that police want to keep the immigrant community safe, hasn't been borne out by their actions. I'm one of the folks who coordinates when Cosecha has done some of their big actions like those May 1st marches. I'm one of the coordinators of their crowd safety. And I've noticed GRPD, both by themselves and through cooperation with the sheriff's office, have almost killed folks multiple times. During a DACA march last year, one of your officers tried to, was literally moving his car through a crowd and threatened to arrest a member of the crowd safety team for suggesting he wait until, in this case, a toddler in a stroller could be moved. This past May 1st, with cooperation with the Sheriff's Department, there were quite a few horses used as a method of crowd control, and I saw them, for hours on end, nearly run people over. In fact, I was nearly ran over because as an ally, I put myself between horses and the crowd. We're demanding that you fire Captain Vanderkooy for his demonstrated history of racism, that you end all cooperation with ICE, and not just provide lip service to it, and support Cosecha's demand for driver's licenses for all in the state of Michigan. That demand will deprive ICE of a huge opportunity it uses to kidnap our neighbors, and is one of the demands that the immigrant community is telling you is most important. If you're telling us to trust you, don't let your police forces literally try. Don't let police forces do actions that kill people, because deportation can be deadly in many cases.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, Mayor Bliss and members of the City Commission. My name is Hillary Skolton. I'm an attorney with the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center and a cooperating attorney with the ACLU of Michigan. There are so many unanswered questions here, and tonight Interim Police Chief Kittle only presented a few of the selective facts, but we do not have the whole story, and we need more information. We have so many questions. Interim Chief Kittle came in tonight and he presented a smokescreen of terrorism to come up over the actions of Captain Vanderkoy, and wanted us to trust that they contacted the proper federal authorities. Just presenting the words terrorism and proper federal authorities does not necessarily equate to the right actions being taken here. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is not the appropriate authority to contact for a domestic terrorism event involving a U.S. citizen, particularly Officer Cliffman, who works with enforcement and removal operations, a friend of Vanderkoy's, who he contacted off hours to ask, hey, can you check his status? This was not an investigation into terrorism. This was an investigation into his immigration status. We have not received justice for Captain Vanderkoy's actions here. These actions were not only against Hilmar Ramos Gomez, though as we continue to represent him, we see how he continues to suffer from this event. But they were against his family and our whole community. And the city has chosen to stand behind an officer who racially profiled a vulnerable veteran and mocked his disability. Our community is understandably scared and angry. Immigration Officer Matthew Lopez thanked the GRPD for delivering him a U.S. citizen who had bravely served our country and asked for more great leads in the future. This case perfectly highlights the destruction that is caused in a community when local law enforcement turn their attention from protecting public safety to targeting individuals for federal immigration purposes and use the color of a person's skin as the basis of those whom they target. Every day, the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center works with victims of crime who are afraid to come forward and report their criminal activity to the police. The fear that they fear that there's a direct referral process from the police to ICE. The evidence revealed in this case underscores the reality of those fears. So what will the city do to reassure those individuals' faith in the city police? What will they do to reassure immigrants in our communities that they belong and their safety matters? We have a number of suggestions for you, and we look forward to working with you. We ask that instead of more planning, more meeting, the city take action. In particular, we ask that you immediately remove Captain Vanderkoy from his position as a trusted U visa certifier and ICE liaison, and place someone in who has a proven track record of trust in that position.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Elaine Lewis. I'm a legal fellow at the ACLU of Michigan, and I'm part of the team for Mr. Hilmar Ramos Gomez. We're all aware that Captain
I'm sorry. Can you speak into the microphone again? We'll start your time over.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Good in the back? Okay. Oh, and can you start with your name again? I'm sorry.
Okay. My name is Elaine Lewis. I'm a legal fellow at the ACLU of Michigan, and I'm a Grand Rapids city resident. We're all aware that Captain Vanderkoy made extremely disrespectful comments about Hilmar Ramos Gomez. These comments, calling him a loco and talking about his mad intent, reflect bias against him on the basis of his ethnicity and his disability status. They're frankly grossly inappropriate, particularly given the fact that Mr. Ramos Gomez served our country and experienced PTSD as a result of that service. It's not the right way to honor his sacrifice, and it's not the right way to for the police department to be talking about its citizens who struggle with disabilities. So these comments reflect bias, and it strains credulity for us to believe that an officer who has shown such bias nevertheless did not engage in biased enforcement. How much evidence does it take for the GRPD to consider that someone has actually engaged in bias? This lack of willingness to see what's right in front of the GRPD shows that the GRPD has not been able to police itself. As a member of the community, I'd like to call on the commission and GRPD to do better for all of us. There are numerous questions that have not been answered as a result of the investigation. Questions such as, what policies or procedures does the GRPD have to protect individuals with mental health issues or mental disabilities during investigations? Have there been any complaints made against Captain Vanderkoy of racial or disability or national origin bias? What happened as a result of those complaints or investigations? The GRPD can do more. Grand Rapids City can do more. We can all do more, and we should do more. And we should look further into this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Good evening, I'm Miriam Ackerman. I'm an attorney with the American Civil Liberties Union of Michigan. We're here tonight to ask for fairness and accountability because the Grand Rapids Police Department has failed on both counts. Fairness means equal treatment for everyone, not targeting people based on the color of their skin or the sound of their names. Yet here, Captain Vanderkoy called ICE an agency charged with deporting members of our community to check Hilmar's status based on the color of his skin and his recognizably Latino name, not based on terrorism, and I'll get to that. That's not fairness, that's racial profiling. Fairness means respecting people with disabilities and ensuring that police are trained to respond to their unique needs appropriately. Yet here, Captain Vanderkoy mocked Hilmar for his disability. Fairness means honoring our veterans who risk their lives and their mental health to protect the rest of us. Yet here, Captain Vanderkoy ignored that sacrifice and made fun of Hilmar for the PTSD he experiences as a result of his service to our country on the battlefield. We're also here to ask for accountability. When the police fail us by violating the fundamental principle that policing must be fair and impartial, there needs to be accountability and responsibility. But what we heard at the beginning of this evening was the acting chief telling us that this was an investigation into terrorism and that it was appropriate rather than acknowledging it for what it is, which is racial profiling compounded by mockery of a veteran with a disability. If this was really an investigation the way it was claimed, then Captain Vanderkoy would have contacted the FBI, not an agency, ICE, that's responsible for deporting people in our community. He would have contacted other officers for information. He would not have asked about Hilmar's status. He would have asked for information that was relevant to what he was trying to allegedly find out, which is something about terrorism. He would not have waited 2 days for a response from ICE, which when it came was a thank you for the lead that he was given. He would not have sent over a police report describing Hilmar as loco or mad, which is not only incredibly offensive, but also shows that he knew this was a mental health issue. The GRPD says it's protecting members of the community, but if that was the case, why didn't it protect Hilmar when the prosecutor flagged the fact that he had his passport and was a citizen and was a veteran? Why didn't they then actually look and see and say, and hold up, ICE, don't take him, he's a U.S. citizen. They didn't do any of these things. In addition to representing Hilmar, I represent another young man named Keon Harrison, an African-American youth who was racially profiled by Captain Vanderkoy. He was carrying a model train, which made him suspicious because he was also African American, and that was enough for Captain Vanderkoy to photograph and print him. That case is currently in litigation. Let me just, I know my time is up. Let me just close by saying it's time for real change. We've had a lot of pious words when these kinds of incidents happen. Let's actually have action. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Zuckerman. Hi, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Rogers Driard, and I'm a resident. I live on the west side, 2335 Lake Michigan Drive. I am here I stand in solidarity with Cosecha GR and Rapid Response to ICE in calling for no cooperation with ICE and the firing of police officers who racially profile our residents. All the studies that Grand Rapids has done and the meetings mean nothing if local policing doesn't change and police aren't held accountable for their actions. At this point, we as a city don't have anything to be proud of because the actual policing hasn't changed. I'm speaking up because I think it's important to speak up, but I'm discouraged to its effectiveness. It's appalling that we live in a society and city where our neighbors are kidnapped and families are torn apart legally.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is J.R. Martin. I live in Grand Rapids on Anishinaabe land. The city of Grand Rapids needs to stop working with ICE, and Kurt Vanderkoy has to go. We've all heard the details now of his decision to involve ICE in a case based on nothing but the most obvious racial profiling. As people have talked about, there's an established pattern here. There's a history. We've heard about some of that history. There was a federal lawsuit from several years ago following from that incident with Keon Harrison, who stopped in the park to help an injured bird who was carrying a model train set, who was racially profiled and detained and fingerprinted by Kurt Vanderkoy. That's unacceptable. All of this is unacceptable. So over the last week, I've seen friends in Movimiento Cosecha working on behalf of Brandon Reyes and his mother, who were kidnapped by ICE last week and are currently at a detention center in Battle Creek. All of this organizing has been amazing to witness, and I feel lucky to know some of the people who are getting it done. I also want to say that I've seen at least one member of this commission made a donation in support of Brandon's family. And speaking just for myself, I want to say that I truly appreciate that donation, and I also just hope it's clear to everyone to what extent the same people who hurt Brandon and his family, the same people who targeted Hilmar Ramos Gomez, have been doing so with the express support and cooperation of the Grand Rapids Police Department. And I know there's a wide range of views in this room about police, and I just want to say, people in Grand Rapids who are socially positioned as white, we need to understand that so much of what we've been taught to see as our safety is a fiction imposed by these people with guns and badges and scores to settle who terrorize our neighbors. And they do it in our name, and they've always been doing it in our name. And we need to reject and unlearn our dependence on these systems of violence and coercion. With respect to people who have talked about policing at the speed of trust, I appreciate those comments, and I also I have to be accountable to my friends and other people who aren't interested in trusting the police ever. So having said that, we need to find something else. And the Grand Rapids Police Department themselves said in a Facebook post as their idea of a joke for Valentine's Day that they've been making hearts skip a beat since 1871. That's not a good joke. We need to reject this violence and intimidation and find something better. So that's a process. But right now, Kurt Vanderkoy needs to go.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. All right, others who wish to be heard. Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name's Lily.
Hi, Lily. Hold on one second. There we go.
Thank you. The captain got my friend's father deported, and I think he should be fired.
Thank you, Lily.
My name is Martha Cooper. Long time no see. I told you I wasn't going away. I tried to take a minute. I came to speak again on housing. And I make no apology for being emotional because with the immorality in this city and me being a person of some morals it's very difficult to watch what goes on in my city, and I make no apology. I'm not a radical. I once went with them for a march, and they were talking about racist police, and I was uncomfortable and didn't speak. But after this, I came right in here, and I spoke and shouted, because you could have avoided this with the equal service when they came to you asking for dignity and respect. Now I'll get on to housing, because they've said many other things I don't need to repeat. I see an article in the paper. I see a lot of articles in the paper. 140 million in public money is going to go into a hotel, which I think is on the same block as the Van Andel Arena. I don't know whose property that is, and I'm not interested. What I'm interested is in the money that you all take and move around. I've been talking about public money for a long time. See, I read an article, and I also read another article. I see what you guys have done for real affordable housing. We have a place on Eastern where if you're under 30%, like you have SSI, you can't live there, but they call it affordable. Who's affordable? They're putting $13.50 and getting brownfield development credits for poison land. And Sequia and Rockford got $400,000 for the poison hole that sat there for 4 or 5 years until they could figure out how to make a profit and get a coupon from you all. I call you responsible for how you spend public money. I will remind you that I vote and pay taxes, and I will remind you that if you are running again or any of you are running again, we will hold you accountable. And we are citizens. And we don't need to wait for you. We've been waiting for you. You're putting in 140 million, and by the way, oh, excuse me, you're supposed to tell them, but I'm sure you'll all hear this. They expect to put in more money from the city and the county coffers into this hotel so that we will become a destination with our rapids in the river and the extra money for a park out there so that we look real pretty. Wow. At the same time, I see an article in the paper about hepatitis A. And the vulnerable communities are homeless. Why are they homeless? In the article, it mentioned that they don't have access to soap and water in America. There's some moral issues going on in this city in a big way. I want to know. No, I don't. I already kind of figure it out. When Amplify comes up and...
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Thank you. Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Russ Olmsted, Westside, Grand Rapids. I'm also here as a representative from the leadership of Equity PAC, and we want to state wholeheartedly that we support Coach Sheka and all of the people this evening in asking for the removal of all officers not involved, not just the captain. The officers who were in charge of internal affairs investigating this, that came to a conclusion that he did nothing wrong. That's absurd. It followed no protocol. It followed no standards of what they're supposed to do. It says on the page 2 of the document that the interim chief released this evening that they found the passport on his person. That was in the internal affairs review, but yet nothing was found to be wrong. This is indicative of what has happened time and time again with these types of incidents over the years. I've been coming here since, I believe, 2015, and there are incidents constantly where people's rights are violated. Community of color people's rights are violated repeatedly. And we say the right things, but we don't do the right things. I was listening this morning to the, this afternoon to the meeting that you were having about the strategic plan. And the vision that you laid out there, I want to read them in a descending order: sustainability, innovation, equity, customer service, collaboration, and number 1, accountability. The first thing on the list, accountability. That's the vision of where you want to take this city. If that is the vision of where we want to be, well, we sure as hell better start doing it. Do what's right. Do what needs to be done and stop just saying the right things. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Shalom. My name's David Ben Avraham. I live in Grand Rapids. And feeding off of what they just said, I want to ask you all to hold yourselves accountable and to look back at historical examples and recognize where you're standing in history right now. Because there were people in Nazi Germany who were just doing their jobs and they were just running cities and they were carrying on with their day-to-day life and they were not actively involved. They were keeping the law of the land, which was genocide at the time. And we have a word for those people. They're still Nazis. So look at what's happening. Look at the similarities. We have people taking people from their homes based on their ethnicity, based on their skin color. This is the same thing. This is history repeating itself, and you need to see where you fall in that and what you're doing and how you are going to be looked back on. If you stood there and let people be taken from their homes, let people be profiled based on how they look, you need to recognize that you are not going to be looked at favorably in the eyes of history or by most of the people in this room who see exactly what you're doing and can see the similarities. My great-grandparents were immigrants. They came to this country to flee that specific genocide. And I stand in solidarity with Movimiento Cosecha because they are fighting the same fight that we fought back in World War II. Different country, slightly different laws, but we still have people being carted off to detainment camps. The only actual difference between those detainment camps and these is that they're missing the ovens. There is no other difference. You are carting people off and you are complicit in that because your city has a contract with ICE. Take a good look in the mirror, recognize what you are doing, because I am sure that when Holocaust Memorial Day rolls around, all of you will say, never forget, never again. Kein mal mehr, never again. And you're the ones doing it.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Quinn Burke. I live on the west side of Grand Rapids. I'm here in solidarity with Movimiento Cosecha. I'm not going to go into much besides the fact that we have some simple demands that require actual action. We demand that you immediately fire Captain Kurt Vanderkoy from the Grand Rapids Police Department. I'm wondering really what credibility Grand Rapids Police Department has at this point anyway. There was during the Women's March, a few citizens who were in the march on the sidewalk were almost hit by a vehicle because they couldn't get into a parking lot fast enough. That, I guess, was concluded that it was not an arrestable action, I guess. I don't know what happened to that individual who attempted to run and maybe even did hit people who were in the march. I would also like to make a comment regarding Brandon Reyes and the fundraiser set up for him. I did, scrolling through and really inspired by all the many donations, did see that our city mayor made a sizable donation to that fundraiser. And I think that does say a lot. If you didn't care, you wouldn't necessarily donate such a significant monetary amount. So I ask that if you really do feel that strongly for justice, for the immigrant community, that you do what you can to take action and to listen to our immigrant community. They have requests, and I think the only way that we can really improve things for marginalized people is to listen to the marginalized people. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hello, my name's Teresa Phillips. I am a resident in the 3rd Ward. And I just wanted to say, for decades, for centuries, The powers that be have always said that they had a legal right to break up families. And we already see that it doesn't work. The powers always say that if the male is not in the home, then they're willing to help. We don't want the government to be our baby daddies. We have fathers that are fathers to their children. And studies show that kids that come from a broken home are more likely not to finish high school, more likely to end up in our justice system. You know, they're repeat offenders. And we're asking that this police chief be fired. We're asking not to go from the bottom up, but go from top up, from top down, rather, because there's other people that allowed him to get away with this for years, and they looked the other way. So they need to be held accountable as well. You don't want us to police ourselves in our own neighborhoods, but you're asking for us to trust you and be patient. We've trusted, we've been patient, and we're getting the same thing over and over. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name's Denise Garcia. I'm from the city of Grand Rapids. I was born and raised in the city. Throughout my experience growing up, it was very difficult to fit in, being the fact that I suffered from racism growing up. I grew up in it. I went to an inner city school, Union High School. It was very difficult to have teachers that actually looked like me. It was difficult to even understand why we only had substitute teachers and not actual teachers. With that study being backed on January 16, 2019, MLive released a study from Wallet Hub. The study was intended to determine the United States' progress with integration. And with this integration and race, the study came out with that measured with 22 key indicators, being that the annual income, standardized testing scores, and voter turnouts. It came out to be that out of 50 states, out of the United States of America, Michigan fell on 46, below. That's, honestly, it makes sense why my childhood was very difficult to even see myself graduating or to even see my life past the age of 15. And also being the fact that the entire Midwest in the United States was ranked low. It makes sense why we haven't made any progress in integration and race-wise in Michigan at all. And it's honestly embarrassing. The older I get and the more things that I realize that who is really the one to say who is being run by? Who's running this? It makes sense now. And being that Michigan was also noted third highest gap in unemployment rate between white and black people. On behalf of minorities and the African American community and the Latino community, Cosecha, and with the speed of trust, 1 in 5 Americans are unemployed in Michigan, according to recent research by the Economic Policy Institute. That is almost 2.5 times higher than an unemployment rate for white workers in the state. Again, Michigan is recognized nationwide, worldwide, as least integrated, and we see the gaps happening, we see the trends. There's no question of why or what or who, it's action. We are not here to ask you to do something. It's about time that you do it and be the reason integration happens in Michigan, starting with Grand Rapids. We can't be in 2022, 100 renewable energy without allowing other kids to actually get the right studies and the right programs going to work for them in their favor. If we don't try to actually do it, then to keep having us beg you for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. All right, others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Alejandro Robles. I am from the Wyoming area, and I'm here on behalf of the people that are here today to speak for the Marine. And one moment. Y'all see what I'm doing? Y'all wondering what I'm doing?
I ain't wondering, I know.
I'm calling ICE. And y'all know who I'm calling ICE on? Her right there in the third seat. You know why? Because she doesn't look white. She doesn't look like she's from here. She looks like she's Dominican. And that's exactly what Captain Vanderkoy, I believe. And that's exactly what he did. Tell me, did you feel comfortable me doing that? Did you like that at all? Would you like somebody to do that to you or your family? Anybody of you? Any one of you? Yes or no? Okay. Another thing, I want to take you guys back a bit into history. I'm sure you guys are well aware of who Christopher Columbus is. Yeah, I'm sure you guys know how that goes. The real immigrants, I believe, here aren't the ones from Mexico, aren't the ones from the North Americas, aren't from this side at all. It's any Caucasian. And it's not, I'm not here to disrespect anyone because it's all love here, but it's just a statement I'd like to make. What else? I don't want to come at you, Mark Washington, but I see I'm running out of time. I have more statements. I'd like to write them down and drop them off to you for you to take into consideration of the questions. But this whole GRPD collaboration with ICE is just sick. It's sick. Any state, any city, whatever, collaborating with ICE is just sick. Because the own ICE members, like the ICE agents, aren't even from here. They might be from here, but their answers, like their bloodline, isn't from here. So it makes no sense to me in the head. And you know, before I run out of time, today I prayed, and I prayed to God to make me do something today, and here I am. So before I go, just kind of let this be a warning and kind of keep this in the back of your mind. Fear the greater power, because what you put out in this universe returns back to you. You guys in higher positions seem to forget the fact that you're more than just physical beings. Everyone in here is a spirit, but it just mostly you guys in higher power forget to realize that. There is a higher power and there is an afterworld. And remember, your time here is limited. So if you do not wish to spend eternity in hell, per se, be a good person now and at least respect human rights, because as well as everybody here and as well as you guys, everyone's a human. You're a human, this whole crowd's a human.
Thank you.
And last thing I want to say, live and go by the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Lorena Aguayo Marquez, and I live in Grand Rapids, 49507. And I'm here on behalf of Movimiento Cosecha, Grand Rapids, and Rapid Response. We want the City Commission and GRP, Grand Rapids Police Department, and we demand to end any cooperation with ICE and also to fire Captain Vanderkoy. Despite numerous assurances over the last 2 years from Grand Rapids Police Department, we have not. It always seems that we have taken one step forward and 20 back. And we are talking about trust, and there's no trust. Last City Commission, you know, I've been trying to trust the system, trust everything, but it doesn't work that way. The Chief Kitty and his reports, police officers investigating police officers, that's a joke. That's never going to work because they're gonna cover up for each other. We need to make sure we do investigations that are not with the same department. The police officers cannot investigate other police officers. The City of Grand Rapids, last year, we worked with the Community Commission Relations to pass the Equal Rights Policy, and the police department changed a lot of things to make sure that they're not accountable for a lot of things. But unfortunately, they broke and they violated some of the policy. The documents show that Grand Rapids Police Captain Brenda Coy violated the city's equal service policy and peer policing policy with arrest and ICE detention of Jamar Ramos Gomez, a decorated U.S. Marine who had his passport on him. I don't want to walk with my passport all the time. I am brown, if you have noticed, Latina, and proud of it. But I don't want to be driving with my passport. I only do that when I go to foreign countries. To not feel safe in my own country, to not feel that I belong here. That's not right. I also want to emphasize, like I mentioned, there is no point in having policing at the speed of light, of a trust, right? There's this trust. Sorry, that's his other book. He has 2 books. I read it. There's no point of having that. I emphasize that, GRPS is not willing to make tough calls to raise our trust. And I'm here to say there's a bias in policing, and we need to make sure that Captain Vandercoit is fired for being racist and royal profiling. All people of color, not just brown people, people of color is shown. We have proof, there's reports. He has violated and I follow the policing laws. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorena. All right, others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome. Oh, yeah, sure. Please, yep, we'll hold off on. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Will those who are with Movimiento Cosecha GR and GR Rapid Response to ICE please stand? I'm Amy Carpenter, and we present to you this resolution that we want you to sign. You've heard from us that Captain Vanderkoy needs to be fired immediately for his actions in the case of Hilmar Ramos Gomez. Furthermore, we need you, in order to build trust again, to stop all GRPD cooperation with ICE. You have not been telling the truth. So let's read the resolution. The resolution says, we, the undersigned elected city commissioners, do hereby recognize our responsibility to our immigrant neighbors. Whereas municipalities all over the country are ending their cooperation with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, because of public outcry over the terror and violence wrought by ICE. Our immigrant neighbors, who are an important part of the social, cultural, and economic fabric of our city, are living under the threat of terror and violence from ICE. Families are being separated in our city of Grand Rapids with the involvement of the Grand Rapids Police Department. And whereas we as commissioners have a responsibility to provide moral leadership in Grand Rapids as our duty to the electorate, we do hereby resolve the following. We will end all GRPD cooperation with ICE. We will not allow for any city resources to be used for the purposes of ICE's work or to detain our immigrant neighbors based on their immigration status. We publicly support the Driver's Licenses for All campaign and call for the state of Michigan to make driver's licenses available for underdocumented immigrants again. Sign the commission. That's what we're asking. In particular, the driver's licenses bill or the campaign is about the fact that GRPD has documented that there is racial profiling in traffic stops. If you can pull extra people in, particularly brown people, because of that, you need, if you're going to make this right, you need to be on the side of driver's licenses for all. Now, Those who are here, come forward, let's speak up. ICE and cops go hand in hand. 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 ICE and cops go hand in hand.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna ask you all, okay, we hear you. We wanna make sure.
Ice and cops go hand in hand.
Do you wanna?
Ice and cops go hand in hand.
Okay, I really wanna give other people a right and an opportunity to speak.
Ice and cops go hand in hand.
All right.
Ice and cops go hand in
I really don't want to adjourn. I want to give people a right to speak. But I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Can we give other people an opportunity to speak? There are other...
Cops go hand in hand. Ice and cops go hand in hand. Ice and cops go hand in hand.
All right.
Ice and cops go hand in hand.
We can't let other people speak.
Ice and cops go hand in hand. Ice and cops go hand in hand.
Yeah, but it's not fair to the other people who want to speak.
Ice and cops go hand in hand. Ice and cops go hand in hand. Ice and cops go hand in hand.
All right, everyone.
Ice and cops go hand in hand.
Everyone, I know.
Cops go hand in hand. Ice and cops go hand in hand.
Can we give other people an opportunity to speak?
Ice and cops go hand in hand.
There are still.
Cops go hand in hand.
All right.
Cops go hand in hand.
Commissioners, I think we have to adjourn. I'm sorry.
Accountability works two ways, people. It's two ways.
We're not going to be able to finish the meeting, so those of you in line that didn't have a chance to speak, I'm very sorry. Please reach out to us. You can leave material with our city clerk, and he will get it to us. But I'm sorry, I have to adjourn. I'm sorry. All right. Commissioners, we're adjourned. Ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.